A young solicitor crosses into the Carpathian Mountains. He will not return the same man. The year is 1893. Jonathan Harker, a young English solicitor, is on a train winding its way through the fractured landscape of Eastern Europe. He is leaving behind the gas-lit order of London for something older, wilder, and far less forgiving. As he crosses the Danube, he notes in his journal that he feels he is leaving the West and entering the East. The bridges and railways of civilization are giving way to a land of superstition, where the peasants cross themselves at the mention of his destination, Castle Dracula. He is there to facilitate a simple real estate transaction. A verified nobleman, Count Dracula, wishes to purchase a property in London. It should be a routine matter. But as the sun sets and the carriage takes him deeper into the Borgo Pass, the air grows heavy. The howling of wolves echoes from the tree lines, not as a chaotic noise, but as a chorus, a welcome. Harker is no longer a lawyer on a business trip. He is a guest entering a prison of his own making. The castle itself stands as a scar against the sky, vast, ruined, and silent. When Harker arrives, the great doors open, not by a servant's hand, but seemingly of their own accord. He is met by the Count, a tall man, clad in black, with a grip as cold as ice. "Welcome to my house," he says. "Enter freely and of your own will." It is a specific invitation. Evil, in Stoker's world, cannot enter uninvited. It must be welcomed. And Harker, driven by duty and convention, steps across the threshold. Inside, the castle is a paradox. It is filled with ancient wealth, gold, tapestries, furniture of ages past, but it lacks the warmth of life. There are no mirrors, there are no servants. Harker eats alone, while the Count sits with him, watching, never partaking. The Count speaks enthusiastically about England, asking Harker to describe the streets, the crowds, the harbours. He is not making conversation. He is planning an invasion. Every question is reconnaissance. Slowly, the professional facade crumbles. Harker realizes the doors are locked. The windows look out over a 1,000-foot drop. He is not a guest. He is cattle. And the Count is merely waiting to finish with him before moving on to the fresh, teeming pastures of London. He discovers the Count can scale the castle walls like a lizard, face down, fingers clinging to stone. It is a sight that breaks something in Harker. The man he is negotiating with is not a man at all. Dracula does not travel by coach or train. He travels with the earth of his coffin. He boards the Russian schooner, the Demeter, bound for Whitby on the coast of England. What follows is one of literature's most chilling sequences, the captain's log. Day by day, the crew disappears, one by one. Men vanish into the night, picked off by a shape they cannot name. A terror takes hold of the ship, a claustrophobic dread on the open ocean. By the time the ship crashes onto the English shore, the crew is gone. Only the captain remains, lashed to the wheel, dead, a crucifix in his hand. A large black dog is seen leaping from the wreckage and disappearing into the mist. The invasion has begun, not with an army, but with a contagions. Dracula has brought his sickness to the heart of the modern world. In England, the focus shifts to Lucy Westenra, a symbol of Victorian innocence and purity. She begins to fade. She grows pale, lethargic, sleepwalking into the night. 2 pinpricks appear on her neck. Her decline is baffling to the men around her. They see it as an illness, perhaps anemia. They do not see the predator feeding on her life force. This is where Stoker taps into the Victorian fear of the corrupted blood, the reverse colonization, the idea that something ancient and foreign is consuming their future. What follows is remarkable. 4 men, her fiancé Arthur, Dr. Seward, the Texan Quincy Morris, and Van Helsing, each give their blood to save her through transfusion. It is an intimate, almost sacrificial act. Stoker understood the symbolism. Blood given freely out of love, set against blood stolen in the night. And yet, it is not enough. Each transfusion buys time, but the count returns, undoing their work. The mathematics are brutal. He can take faster than they can give. It requires Dr. Van Helsing to name the horror. Van Helsing is the bridge between the old world and the new, a man of science who enters the realm of the occult with an open mind. He knows that blood transfusions alone cannot save Lucy. He knows that garlic flowers are not mere superstition. But he is too late. Lucy dies, only to return as something else. The Bloofer Lady, a child-stealing spectre. The men who loved her must commit the ultimate act of love, driving a stake through her heart to free her soul. It is a violent, grotesque, yet necessary mercy. The hunters become the hunted. Harker, escaping the castle, reunites with his wife Mina. Along with Van Helsing, Dr. Seward, and the American Quincy Morris, they form a coalition. They are modern men, using telegrams, typewriters, and phonographs to track the ancient vampire. This is the crucial clash of the novel, information technology against supernatural camouflage. They compile diaries, cross-reference train schedules, and map the boxes of earth Dracula has scattered across London. It is Mina who becomes the engine of this effort. She is the one who collates the journals, types up the phonograph recordings, and builds the timeline that reveals the Count's pattern. In a novel written by a Victorian man, Mina Harker is quietly the most competent person in the room. She is overlooked by the men who wish to protect her, but she is the one who makes the hunt possible. But Dracula strikes back. He targets Mina. He forces her to drink his blood, creating a psychic bond. He intends to make her his queen. But in his arrogance, he gives them a weapon. Through hypnosis, Mina can see through the Count's eyes. She becomes the spy in his mind. As he flees back to Transylvania, sensing the net closing in, it is Mina's cursed connection that guides the hunters. They race across Europe, chasing the setting sun, to intercept him before he reaches the safety of his castle. The climax is not a grand magical duel, but a desperate physical struggle in the snow. They intercept the gypsies transporting the Count's box just as the sun begins to fail. It is a race against the light. Quincy Morris is wounded, bleeding out into the snow. But they pry open the lid. Dracula lies there, seemingly asleep, his face flush with the life he has stolen. He looks younger than ever. He looks triumphant. In a single moment, the knife strikes. Jonathan Harker, the man who was once a helpless prisoner, shears the throat, while Morris plunges his Bowie knife into the heart. The Count crumbles. Not into a corpse, but into dust. The centuries of stolen time evaporate in an instant. The shadow lifts. The castle stands silent once more. Dracula is more than a monster. He is a reflection of the anxieties of an era. Fear of the foreign, fear of disease, fear of unchecked desire. But he is also a test. He tests the resolve of the human spirit to face the darkness without blinking. Stoker's story reminds us that evil often enters in a pleasing shape, and it can only be defeated when we name it, understand it, and stand together against it. What endures is not the horror, but the humanity. Quincy Morris dies in the snow, far from Texas, so that a woman he barely knew might live free. Harker, once paralyzed by fear, strikes the killing blow. And Mina, who bore the mark of the vampire on her forehead, watches it fade as the dust settles. Years later, she and Jonathan name their son after the men who fought beside them, a small, quiet act of remembrance. The snow has long since covered the tracks in the Borgo Pass. The technology Harker used is now antique, but the fear remains, and so does the warning. Enter freely, but guard your soul.